happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. When I stream on Tuesday, I believe. Yeah, told you I'd be back on Friday, and we are back today with KG at some point. Kind of one of the gents as well. Going to get into some stuff. Going to talk about some things. Got a few good things on the agenda as well. Pretty excited to see. It's been enjoying some streams lately. I've been watching a few different streams. I saw Corey Gary stream earlier, and Fast was on there as well. And it is really hard to come across PulseChain and let alone Hex streams these days. I know a lot of people are itching for them, want some good content. Going to try to create some today and all the good stuff as well. So hope you're doing well out there. Hope you're doing a little bit better after you watch this stream. Hashtag replay gang if you're watching this not live. Otherwise, get your questions in the chat and get as many as we can. We're going to go for about an hour or so, maybe a little bit over. We'll see what Zenith has surprised at the end. There's always a happy ending from Zenith in the context of metrics and data. Anyways, welcome back to the show. Fast Abdoul and the one and only DI Zenith.
How we doing, buddy? Good to see you.
You like the intro? You like that?
It was.
That was a good one. I feel like you're putting me on the spot. I know I always do that thing where I always try to come on streams with something prepped, just so that I'm not just coming on to just like BS for no reason. And then whenever you and I go, we just like keep rolling and rolling. And then we get to the end of the stream and I'm like, wait, I didn't even touch on the thing I wanted to touch on.
This acceptable, I don't even know what to call it. It's like, we know it's going to happen, but we still don't avoid it. And then it's like, it's just going to happen. So I like it.
For sure. I mean, at the same time though, if you get rolling with something, just keep rolling with it. Cause that's good TV right there. Come on.
That's good. RHMax.tv. I would agree. Fast Abdoul, you look like
you're an entertainment industry.
Governor. You're running for governor? Are you the Fastinator?
I think he's in the chambers of the Hexaco Senate right there. That's what we got.
Oh, I was thinking of I thought that was California flag to the right. Never mind.
It could be. I'm not
Is that
sure.
a bear signal, by the way? Is that a subtle bear signal?
Everything's a bull signal right now. There are no more bear signals.
Oh, actually, that's a great. How would you like to lead into that? How would you like to tell us why the price is going to go up tomorrow or soon?
Well, I can't guarantee tomorrow, and this is definitively not financial advice, but yeah, we do have potentially word on the court case in the next couple days, and that could be interesting. It may or may not be a good word, but I see it as bullish either way. Maybe Zenith will have more on that.
That I do. We can talk about that in a bit. Our deadline for the SEC to file their original complaint or petition for an appeals court is coming up here on the 21st. I want to say that's Monday. Yes, that is Monday. So we're kind of in the final countdown again, for real this time. Maybe, hopefully, probably.
For real. Definitely won't get delayed again.
Hopefully not.
That's the thing. Well, I mean, I think I'll pull this up. Go ahead. While I'm pulling this up.
On that note, I will say the thing that's different this time is that Paul Atkins is actually in the SEC now. So for the folks that have been following me for a bit, you know that I've been screaming from the high heavens that Paul Atkins is going to be the new chairman of the SEC. He finally got confirmed. I think it was not last week, but 2 weeks ago, which means that he's finally in-house running the show for real now. And based on everything going on, it seems that the SEC is actually really taking a step back when it comes to all the litigation from the Gary Gensler era and trying to focus on coming up with new legislation new regulation that is actually well thought out and reviewed by the actual banking, finance communities, and also the crypto communities now. If you go over to the SEC, there is there's an article from them talking about, or I don't think it was from the SEC, but if you go, it was from the Senate Banking Housing Committee. If you go over there, they have an article talking about the confirmation hearing for Paul Atkins. And some of the stuff he talks about is they're looking for clarity and they're looking for consistency. There's even a very specific dedicated section talking about digital assets, aka crypto, and how that they're making that a top priority. So we're actually getting some real like headline time going on here, which means that they're serious about it. And we have the official guy in now who's serious about doing business. So it's all good things. At the same time, though, it is a lot of lip service. We're going to have to wait and see what actually comes out. As it stands right now, there is the stablecoin legislation that is in Congress. if Tim Scott put out a video recently talking about how they pretty much have all the signatures for it. They're just waiting for the August session of Congress to actually get it going through, get it to the president's desk, get it in action.
Paul Atkins, be the super Chad that we want to see in the world. Why does everyone keep saying that Easter is Monday? Am I taking crazy pills? Is it not Sunday?
It's definitely Sunday.
Well,
so I keep seeing like people talk about Monday being a holiday, but I'm like, is that like a federal holiday or something in the U.S.?
I think it depends where you live, probably.
I'll tell you this as someone.
My kids are off school next week.
Google says April 21st is not a federal holiday in the United States. I keep seeing this though.
Nope. As someone who has a full day booked out for Monday, dealing with some federal holidays, if you will. Yeah, no, we do not get that day off.
Yeah, there we go. Let me see. Point. Courts are open on Easter. Yeah, is it even Easter Monday? It's just Monday to me. Like it's Easter. There's Good Friday, if you remember that, or if you're, I guess if you're Catholic, you celebrate that. If not, then it's kind of you remembered or not. And then there's Easter Sunday. I don't know why Monday. I keep hearing on Twitter. It's like, but Monday we're not gonna hear anything because it's Monday. I'm like, I've yet to hear of that confirmation. But,
nah, they're gonna be firing on all cylinders. So expect news on Monday.
Maybe across the world, they treat it as they get Monday off and they get, I don't know. Some people get probably a week off for Easter. I've never heard that.
Must be nice.
So, yeah, not in our court system, I don't believe. But feel free if anyone has some actual data on that. Feel free. Yeah, the chat is saying that matrix stacking, and also a few of you are talking about across the world, but in the U.S. I don't think it's going to be a problem. Like they're not shutting down the courts Monday. I'm pretty sure. But somebody correct me with a link if so.
But that being said, like maybe it takes till Tuesday to get the judge's decision or to verify that the SEC didn't file an appeal, right? And it sounds like Nuclear Herbs thinks that they're just going to drop it from, the tone of what he says there to me. And if they drop it, if they don't file an appeal, and to my knowledge they haven't yet, then it's over, right?
It says if the SEC doesn't file an amended complaint, the court should have entered dismissal, and she could do it anytime. That day starts a 60-day appeal clock. I'm a little confused on this. So the court can enter dismissal at any time, and then does that start 60 days from there? They could appeal the dismissal again? Is that what that is?
Tell you what, I'll go ahead and pull up the thing I was probably going to be saving for the end, but we'll do it now. How's that sound?
We'll do it live. Well, before we bring it up, we gotta do it live with one other person. Welcome back to the show, KG. How's it going? Internet money,
guys. What's up? Good to see you all. Thanks for having me.
We're doing it live, man. We're doing it live. we're gonna circle back to wallets and community and all the stuff you're building in a minute too. But definitely might talk Rabby a little bit as well if you're interested. Curious on that, but also
talk whatever you want, brother.
Boom. Zenith is we're getting deep into SEC for a moment here. Zenith, what you got?
No, it's great. I'm curious myself.
Yeah.
I have a screen share for you here, sir. All right, I'm going to run through this top to bottom real quick. It's not too long, thankfully. Although classic Herbs, he does give a good explanation. So apologies for the rambling. All right, April 21st deadline. I should clarify the process since there seems to be some confusion about it. Monday, April 21st is the deadline for the SEC to put up or shut up. Either they file an amended complaint by then or they don't. It's only a few days away now. If they wanted another extension, I would have expected to see something filed by now. So I have my doubts that they're going to try that. If they don't file an amended complaint, and I'm not expecting them to, the court will note that the lack of filing and enter a formal order dismissing the case. This is a procedural step required to officially close out the case. This should happen within a day or two, or the first few days after the 21st. Neither party needs to do anything. The court should just type up the orders as it is entered. Once the district judge court, Judge Amon, enters the final order of dismissal, that starts a 60-day clock where the SEC can file an appeal with the Second Circuit Court of Appeals. That's New York, by the way. New court, new judges, 3-judge panel, new process entirely. And yes, this process would take a while. However, the only thing that could be appealed would be if Judge Amon made any errors of law in her February 28th ruling granting the motion to dismiss. Spoiler alert, she didn't. Personal jurisdiction law has been around a long time, and her legal analysis was solid and well documented. Note, the SEC cannot add any new claims, arguments, or facts in an appeal. This all has to be done in trial court by amending their complaint, which again has to be done by April 21st, or they lose the ability to do it. So In Nuclear Herb's humble opinion, he says filing any notice of appeal would be a waste of everyone's time and resources, especially if they never bothered to file an amended complaint first. Judge Amon's ruling is more or less bulletproof and is based almost entirely on the SEC's failure to allege sufficient facts to satisfy Rule 12b2 and 12b6. That's jurisdiction and failure to state a claim for fraud. This was 100% on the SEC, and it's what they chose to put in their complaint, and then they failed to add anything of value in the hearing. Finally, if the SEC does file an amended complaint on Monday, he'll outline the next steps at the time. Too much info to put down here, and I'm not going to worry about something that I don't really believe is going to happen. Okay, so quick explainer. What we have right now is we have the original order from the court, which is the actual motion to dismiss. We did get a request from the SEC to extend their timeline to amend the original complaint. They have not done so at this time. So what's going to happen is we're going to cross over this boundary. Once we get over that boundary, it changes from the ability to amend the original complaint to an appeals court. What an appeals court is for is if you believe that due process of law was violated in some way, or if the judge made an actual error. So this is less about the facts of the case once you cross over that threshold to an appeals court. That is where they actually take a look at the process of what's going on and ensure that the process was followed correctly the entire way through. So if you lose in court and you file an appeal, you're not actually appealing the decision that the court made, you appeal the process. As it stands right now, everything was very much done above board and well within the normal bounds of law and due process. I mean, it took a hot minute, let's be real, but that's how these things work. So at this point, you're going to have to make an argument about somehow the actual due process or the order of the court was construed in such a way to effectively, in more like criminal trial court, you're looking at something like a mistrial. That's what you're pretty much looking at here. You're not arguing the facts or the outcome because that's already decided. It goes in line with, it's not habeas corpus. It's the other, you can't be tried twice for the same crime, which is pretty much
double jeopardy.
One fair trial. Double jeopardy, thank you. You get one fair trial. If the trial is fair, that's the one you get. So same thing here. If Judge Amon's case is found to be what is effectively a fair trial, it's not like full trial with a jury and everything, but it's pretty much just like, this is before all that. This is a motion to dismiss. Kind of falls into the same jurisdiction though. So you can't really argue with the outcome here. You have to argue with process. And overall, as Herbs and I have been analyzing this whole situation, it looks like the process has been followed to the T. So at this point, I really don't see anything else happening. And like he said, if the SEC is going to ask for another extension, they probably would have done it by now. Although it's the government, people wait till the 11th hour. That's how it goes sometimes. I will say, I think we are finally coming to the close of this. So I don't expect much more after this. If anything, I just expect the procedural administration work, which he talked about, which is pretty much just entering the order into the official documents and then pushing it out to the rest of the judicial system in the world effectively.
So if they're going to do something, you think we'd hear something today or Monday? Because deadline's Monday, so they have all Monday to do it?
Pretty much. Close of business Monday is the final deadline. So New York, Eastern time. So there you go.
Okay.
Didn't they wait till the 20th day the first time around?
Yeah, they waited a hot minute to file their extension, but they've been granted the extension. And this is why I talked about the Paul Atkins stuff at the beginning, which is that we've actually had a change of staff and a change of leadership and direction at the SEC. So it seems that they're no longer interested in pursuing litigation towards a lot of these crypto-based cases. That's why we've seen them drop tons of investigations. I think they've dropped over like literally a dozen at this point into a lot of the major centralized exchanges, individual organizations. And I see this as no different.
Good to know.
So you're telling me there's a chance?
There is a chance, but there's always a chance. We operate in a world of probabilities. So the probability that they're going to file an extension, I think, is low. Probability they're going to be granted an appeal, I think, is low. It's law. It takes a while. And unfortunately, we are in the fastest moving tech space, utilizing the slowest administrative procedure, which is the court of law.
Yeah, it's hard to be. a couple things. It's like, yeah, they waited to the last minute to do the last one. So it's like, are we going to get that again? I think everyone's maybe bracing for that, of like, trying not to get excited for that. But also, I mean, again, if it feels that way, maybe this is the bottom of persecution. Maybe that would be nice. But also, if it does, I don't know. The other part probably people are feeling too. It's like, okay, already priced in. Not going to get a pump anyways. We didn't get much of a pump when SEC stuff happened. Yeah, there was a little bit back and forth, but look what happened now. I think the whole, again, red candle syndrome is coloring this whole thing, trying to make people not as excited as they should be to get this out of the way, if indeed it does happen this time. Even if it doesn't happen, though, the backup is what? Like, what is SEC going to do? Like, are they really going to, as you said, the Paul Atkins in there should make a huge difference. Maybe he's shutting a lot of stuff down, saying, hey, focus on, I don't know, not crypto. Like, apparently they're just like, everything in crypto is fair game now, which is interesting as well, but hopefully helpful to us. I mean, you got Hawk to a Girl, you got all the stuff going on that's interesting and has all the facts, or I don't know. I don't want to comment on the facts and stuff of those, but I've heard plenty of CoffeeZilla streams of like, what? Like, there's actual interesting stuff going on out there. Again, forget Hawk to a Girl. Name any other thing you think is a scam out there. So I don't know. Hopefully we're included in the list of like, oh, it's also not interesting because there's nothing going on and it's crypto, so just leave them alone. Like, I don't know.
Exactly.
Hopefully
Based on the current direction of the SEC, I think they're a lot less. Oh, hey, Nuclear Herbs, how's it going, man? Hopefully I did your post justice there. But yeah, I think that based on the current leadership at the SEC, they're not interested in pursuing stuff like this. I hope I don't ruffle too many feathers by this, but we are a very small player in the global landscape as it stands right now, especially when it comes to politics and geopolitics. There are a lot bigger fires and a lot bigger interests that they're worried about. So to continue investing resources into something like this, which has a very low probability of success for them after already taking a very public loss like this, it wasn't them stepping back. Remember, this was an actual certified loss in the court of law. That's what's very different about the RH case as opposed to all the other ones. Coinbase had a bit of a win in their case, but when it comes to all the other stuff, it's dropping investigations. This was an actual decision against the SEC. And based on current leadership, they're not interested in pursuing these things. I think the stablecoin legislation is a big one that they're focusing on now. There was all the executive orders that came out in January talking about the crypto task force, asking a lot of the different agencies around to submit documentation for all the stuff that they want to put forth going forward. And then, yeah, there's also actual like true bad actors out in the space with like the Hawk Tua meme coin stuff, and then all the other stuff like that going on. So when it comes to where the focus should be, yeah, I don't think the focus is going to be on the Richard Hart case any longer, which is good news for us.
Hoorah. Let's do it. I want it. I want the focus not to be, I want the focus to be on scammers and not on not scammers. Is that too much to ask?
A lot to
Agreed.
ask, apparently.
It should be.
It would be nice if the
I'm
focus
bullish.
is on setting up a good runway for people to actually launch good projects in the United States. One other thing that has not been actually talked about a whole lot right now is, if you remember, Donald Trump was making a lot of statements about how he wants the U.S. to be the number one place to build crypto projects in the world. And there's even a lot of talk about trying to grant tax exemptions for U.S.-based crypto projects. None of that stuff has been fully fleshed out yet and released to the public. So that seems like a much bigger question mark to focus on. And it seems like something the SEC should focus on with them.
I mean, it almost makes too much sense. You know, the case go up, or or cases go down, but the air case should go up to the leave this shit alone, please. Stop doing this. Stop poking the bear. Already too many bears getting poked. I don't want to be poked anymore. I want to get back to winning, and not that we need. I don't know. I feel like there's so many things that you could say SEC is coloring everything. Even when we had the news, again, it felt good, but it's not like, it's not like we did a 10x and stuff after that too. So it's part of me is like, oh, SEC matters. The other part of me is like, it doesn't matter as much. I don't know. But it definitely, obviously, we all want it to go away.
If you want to look at the actual charts, you mentioned it earlier, which is kind of the red candle syndrome, which is why people have been somewhat cynical about everything going on with all this.
Yep.
The reality right now, when it comes to market forces, is that what's going on with PulseChain is more akin to being tied to Ethereum than the actual independent variables inside of PulseChain being able to pump. It's still absolutely able to pump on its own, but at the same time, if Ethereum is also doing well, because this is a fork of Ethereum, there's a lot of Ethereum tied to the chain through liquidity, that's going to be one of those things that allows it to really take off. So, I mean, what is Ethereum, like $1,500 right now, which is, in my opinion, kind of unheard of for this cycle. Exactly. But it's the red candles are here. The red candles are not here for the SEC stuff. They're here for overall market forces.
Well, speaking of market forces and community,
nice
community
transition.
go up. Community go up.
Professional, ladies and gentlemen.
There seem to be. I work on my seg. You got to polish the segues every once in a while. The wallet downloads seem to be going up with this plus number. Is that right, KG? What's been going on with the internet? Some money.
73,000.
Yes. So we actually just, this new update came in for the download stats, and in that 16-day window there, we averaged about 175 new downloads a day every day for that 2-week window, which is where the 2840 comes from, which is actually a bump. Prior to this update, it was about 120 a day, and prior to that, it was about 80 or 90. So not only have we been getting more downloads, we've been trending in the speed at which the downloads are coming in every day. So that 73,000 is how many times the Internet Money wallet has been downloaded on any one of these platforms.
Wow. Yeah, and it's. I mean, I kind of want to make my first questions.
That's killer, man.
Thank you.
Let's start off with you, because I haven't talked to you since all the interesting wallet stuff that's happened in the community and the feedback that's been given to other providers who have unsupported PulseChain and all that stuff. What is your take on that? I haven't. I know you maybe given before on other channels stuff too, but what is your take on the whole, debank, Rabby, and how does that affect? Like, have you seen has part of these numbers? Have you seen the numbers go up from people moving to internet money? Like, what is the whole? How do you think about the whole situation over there?
Well, as far as, can I guarantee that it was people moving over? No, but the download boost came at a very coincidental time if it had nothing to do with Rabby stopping supporting PulseChain. So I'm going to say that this recent 2-week uptrend, that played a part in it. That's a guess, but I think it's a reasonable one. And, I don't know why Rabby stopped. I've heard a lot of different theories. Some are better than others. At the end of the day, we don't know because they didn't tell us. But ultimately, it sucks for the whole community because, look, even though Rabby was a competing wallet, you could frame it that way, it was still a great product for our ecosystem. And even outside the wallet, DBank is an amazing product itself, and it was great to have that tool for PulseChain. So it's a net loss from the perspective of PulseChain to have lost both those things. And so as a PulseChain community member, it sucks. As a person as the founder of a wallet with a growing ecosystem and economy, I can't say it's anything but awesome. So it depends on what hat I'm wearing when you ask that question.
I think seeing it as a competing wallet makes sense, but at the same time, I think in crypto, especially right now where we're at with the adoption curve, is that the more good products you have, the better off it is. I love supporting all of our native folks like KG and all the stuff like that. But at the same time, the more inroads you have, the better off it is. So it is a bit of a loss because I personally think the Rabby wallet was pretty good. But at the same time, we have great alternatives. But to get back to the original argument, more options is better. More tools in the tool belt is always better because it invites more people on with stuff they're already familiar with. There's different flavors of ice cream out there for everybody. You might not like internet money. I don't know why you wouldn't. But
thanks.
If you don't like that, there's other alternatives out there. So at the point we're at right now is we're trying to grow as much as we can. More options is always better.
And I agree with that. That's why it depends on what hat I'm wearing, because as someone who loves PulseChain, yeah, more tools the better. As someone with one of those tools, I want you to use my tools.
It's the classic, like iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. If you have more excellent products out there competing in the same space, you're only going to get better and better. if you get into situations where there's very limited options, it has sometimes a perverse incentive to stymie growth and innovation. But if you have more people that are always competing for the largest segment of the market, that's how you're going to get the best innovation, the best products, and the lowest barriers to entry, in my personal opinion. So, KG, love the wallet, love what you guys are doing over there. It's a shame we lost Rabby, but hopefully this is a big boon to you guys, because love supporting the homies.
I think products like internet money that don't gatekeep communities are going to do much better in the long run. Like Rabby really shot themselves in the foot by, removing support for PulseChain. Like their ratings went down ridiculously. Like I really don't see how it was a win. And it was an obvious win for the internet money wallet because you support PulseChain as well as all other EVM chains. The long-term gain there is going to be huge. When the green candles come and the internet money wallet is the place to be, like the math on the time token and other parts of your ecosystem are going to be fantastic.
Definitely. As an observer in this one, it really kind of felt like Rabby just like stepped on a rake for no reason. Because we still, like Max, you mentioned earlier, we still don't have a reason for this. They don't really have any justification for cutting support to a thing that was working properly and very well by all accounts. So
yeah, I mean, that's what I was going to say. Is
why
like,
do this?
What is? I cannot think of a reason why it would be beneficial for any wallet provider that supports EVMs. Again, it's not like you got to do some work. It's not like some extra code base or whatever. Again, I never built a wallet, but I imagine there's RPC. You already have the code that works with one EVM. Change RP, it's RPC change of maybe a little bit of other, pieces of logos or infrastructure or something else. Maybe there's some costs associated with it, but I can't imagine. It just never made sense. The only thing that I can think of is, and did somebody mention this? Was it did Alex? I feel like Alex from Hedron mentioned this, or maybe other people too. Somebody, don't quote me on who said it, but it was something around maybe it cost too much on the infrastructure. Maybe they were like the indexing or something, and they were running the server costs. But it's like, other than that, that's the only thing I can think of. If there's some extreme cost of hosting to be able to do that stuff, maybe that. But everything else, it's a complete loss. Like, you're losing users. You have users using a product for a chain. If you remove product support, you lose users. You don't want to lose users. You want users to go up. So other than infrastructure costs, I can't rationalize it any other way. It just doesn't make sense.
We have a very interactive community. Like, they could have reached out to us and said, hey guys, we need a way to make money on the Pulse chain. And you would have had, Alex from Hedron working with Rabby Wallet to, make a bridge or something like that, like a way for them to monetize their product on Pulse chain. I believe there were even a couple whales that reached out to them to say, hey, if this is a cost issue, let us know and we'll support you. And, there was no reply. They had every opportunity. The Rabby Discord room was lit up with only Pulse Chain people. It was 99% Pulse Chain people. They did ban me eventually for some reason. I don't know why. But yeah, it was
stealing the limelight, brother.
Well, to your point there, Fast Abdoul, if these GigaBrain devs want to see these features that Rabby Wallet have that they miss, we're working on them, but we are an open source wallet. So any of the GigaBrain developers want to put up some PRs and get these features in the Internet Money wallet, we'll work with you. Also, any of these whales that wanted to invest to support Rabby, those whales want to invest to support Internet Money and get these features that we loved in other places, we'll happily work with the whales to bring these features to life. So instead of taking this talent and economic energy and putting it towards a product who clearly doesn't care about our ecosystem, we can take that talent and economic energy and put it towards a wallet that has been building for PulseChain since before PulseChain existed, and will continue to have a home player on the home team who will only get better and continue to bring more support for PulseChain. And you'll never see the tweet, hey, we're stopping PulseChain support. So there's one that's a more sustainable long-term investment for the community with talent and money.
True. KG, I got a question for you. So you mentioned earlier that Rabby and other wallets are technically competitors in the same space, but you guys are open source. How do you guys balance that, the competing interest of trying to make sure your code is open source so that people can use it, people can see it and trust it, but also are you guys worried that other people might just take your product and run with it somewhere else? Or what do you guys think about when this stuff, when you go open source with the stuff that you build?
Well, that's a great question. And the biggest piece of quote competition in this space is the attention economy and the user support. So if somebody goes and forks our entire code base and makes internet money wallet, but it's all blue now, whatever, right? You can't fork myself, the team, the users, the time. You can't fork all that. So we don't worry about, hey, somebody could steal our features, because everything that we do, someone else can do. Things that other people do, we can do. So the actual features themselves aren't the real competition necessarily. They are to a degree, right? Because Rabby had features that we don't have, and we have features that Rabby don't have. So users choose based on that. But ultimately, open source is the right way. Verified code is the right way. And that is actually, in my opinion, a sellable virtue. And nobody can ever fork our community or our tenure.
The only one you need to keep an eye on is that Don Montoya guy. You know, you got to keep him on side.
Triggered.
He's the only one who's a threat. If he stays on your team, I think you're going to make it.
No, you can't fork Don, unfortunately. I mean, you could try, but there's one like him.
I think you are kind of a fork of Don, actually. If you think about it.
Okay, valid. Yeah, we have some different, we went a little different direction with the code base, but you're right.
Fair enough.
I'll get to chat in just a minute, but I do want to, if you haven't heard already, I feel like I've tweeted out more than I normally talk or tweet about or promote things, but Pulse Conference 2055, yes, it is happening not in 2055. That would be cool though, 5/5/55. I know I keep having to explain that. It's happening 5/5/25. So 30 years early. Well, yeah, congrats for that. If you'd like to speak, everyone on this panel has been accepted as a speaker, by the way. Congrats to you all. Good job. Excited to see what you talk about on the panels and talks and all that stuff else. Speak, donation link there as well. Again, donations not to donate to me, to fund me or anything like that. It is to donate purely for either coins. If you want to donate coins for like games and prizes and stuff like that, already have one donation so far. Shout out to Corey, an investor. You're awesome, man. Appreciate that. He's already donated. Yeah, so we already have some prize coins for that. Only core coins, by the way. And then for media though, what I need more than anything, or need quote need, don't really need anything, but if there is something you'd like to donate, media related, like intro for the conference, don't have that. Transition pieces between speakers, don't have that. Any like memes or feel good pieces or otherwise I could play throughout the conference, all that stuff. No expectations. If I'm going to use them, accept them, all that stuff. That's why it's application. And all this stuff is good here too. But if you have anything you want to donate, feel free to apply to donate something. And especially on the media side, that would be cool if we had some sick intros and transitions. No expectations though. You may not have them, but if the community has something you want to donate, there's a place to do it. And
I may do some sort of interpretive dance that you could monetize for the event. That's
got to be live though. I need the dances live, and it's got to be not all stipulations though. But yes, please apply to donate your dance. I would like to see that actually. Let's do it.
Hey, Abdoul, we could do that internet money dancing guys.
Oh, yeah, those guys were great.
Yeah, I will accept non-live too, but live would be fun too. And one other thing on the speakers, schedule is pretty almost full as far as sessions go. A lot of panel space left, but as far as 30-minute individual solo speaking spots, they're pretty much gone. So if you're going to submit, please submit for the panel. Again, super simple form, fill it out, say what you're interested in. There's also an AI panel. I added a couple of new ones recently, the legal and AI, nuclear herbs, boom, and the Zenith. Zenith hasn't confirmed yet, but I think they'll be on the legal panel, at least nuclear herbs. Zenith, you're going to be in the legal panel? And
I will. Hey, if you want me there, I'm there.
Yes. Okay. Probably. I mean, yeah, you don't have to be, but like I thought you'd want to riff with Herbs on that. So that's what I'm thinking so far. We're doing it live.
Love talking.
I haven't talked to him about this yet. We're doing it. He's like, first time I've heard this. Yes. And then the AI panel got a few people in the community interested in that. And so that should be a fun one as well. I'll probably be on that as well. I keep harping on AI stuff. But anyways, just wanted to put that out there. Again, apply if you want, donate if you want, no expectations. But I want to make sure everyone knows about that. We are about 2 weeks away, 2.5 weeks away. So it should be fun.
2 more weeks.
Just 2 more. I know. Actually, when I did the thing, it was like I was 3 weeks away. I'm like, all right, when it gets to 2 weeks, I'm gonna start saying 2 more weeks. So some of these tweets are gonna have 2 more weeks in them for sure.
Yeah, thanks for doing that, man. That's a really awesome initiative. Appreciate you having me on for that too.
I never thought I would. However, I was like, I do just kind of think, I'm like, how can I, again, contribute with my time, with my resources, with things I think the community would enjoy. And I don't sign up for everything. No one should have any obligations from me, and I don't have anyone else either. But sometimes I just feel, I don't know, I feel, especially when things are down, I feel more inspired than ever to be like, okay, if I can do this, if I'm willing to do it, then I'll do it. So yeah, it's one of the things. Just I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to do a conference, and then I tweeted out, "Big news coming soon," and then the next day had everything set up. So sometimes it's that easy. But now I signed myself up for the next 3 weeks of coordination, 6-hour streaming. I'm gonna make a meme. I need a meme of that now.
Godspeed, sir.
Glory. It's gonna be great. The cool thing about this is I have enough people willing to actually participate that it's going to make great content, and that's the thing I want to do. I want to make great content. So I got lots of people who are fully aligned for content creation on that. It'd be pretty cool. That being said, let me go to chat for a minute, but also I wanted to riff on something with Fast Abdoul that he said earlier. Shout out to Corey Gary and that show. I think was it Norbert, Fast, Corey, and then Johnny Chaos is also in the chat.
Yep.
Appears to be now. Was on that show. Talked about a lot of interesting things. One of which I think I'm going to clip one of the ones that Johnny said too. That was pretty like his opening monologue was actually really good and really interesting to see when I was this morning. But one thing you mentioned during that fast as well was what I would call the red candle syndrome that is coloring the, oh my gosh, everything is bad. Like something's got to happen on PulseChain. We need but even if there's a liquidity injection, even if the sacrifice money goes into it, then that's not enough. We need all these things. We need exchanges. We need new on ramps. We need more retail land. It's too. We can't get out of PvP, like all that stuff too. You want to go through that a little bit and just kind of your thoughts on could there be a cascading effect? Like one, let's say SAC moves fan, or let's say we get an injection somewhere, or some big event happens. Like how I guess what is the framing around that for could that be the catalyst for all these other things that we think are hard to happen to make them much easier to happen, like literally like a compounding effect? That's what I thought was interesting. You talked a little bit about this.
It's very much a cart before the horse thing. People are worried, we need centralized exchanges. We need we need all these listings. We need all these green candles in order for plebs to come to the Pulse chain, for it to get adoption. We have everything to happen. But the truth is, in my opinion, that if we get the green candles, which could be generated easily by the SAC wallet if it chose to, then all these other things will just come by default, right? If RH decides to deploy SAC funds, which I feel like he will, we're going to have centralized exchanges that pick up Pulse Chain and list it without being asked. They're just going to do it out of their own funds. We're going to have additional support from things like Rabbit Wallet or other entities like Coinbase, whatever you want is just going to come because the green candles are there. And that's how markets work, right? You're a scam until you're not a scam. And once everybody, is looking at Pulse Chain because of the green candles, there's going to be the big influencers that, talk about mostly Bitcoin will start talking about Pulse Chain, and everything will change very dramatically in a very short period of time following those green candles. So in the meantime, there's certainly things we can do, builders like KG and I are still building, right? And those builds will pay off dividends at the time when everything starts to come together. And will amplify the power of Pulse Chain, even though it seems you released this an upgrade to bribery, an upgrade to a wallet, all the different things that we're working on don't seem like they're making a huge dent right now. but like they will provide multiples as far as interaction in the future, because we're building, essentially in the PulseChain bear market still.
Yeah, I think the compounding effect is really interesting. It's hard to see. It's like one of those things like, if you're not rich, you don't know how rich people operate, or at least hard to see that kind of anticipate moves and stuff like that. If you're not, if you have been in markets for a long time, our brains aren't, what is a quote I heard recently too, like we're not meant to think in exponential moves. Like it's really hard for humans to grasp how an exponential move could happen until after it happens. And then it's like, oh, well, it looks, obvious in hindsight sometimes too. But yeah, Zenith, KG, thoughts on, the underestimation of the Pulse chain? Like, what are people missing out there?
Go ahead, Zenith.
Oh gosh. Okay. I mentioned it earlier, which is that the reason that we have red candles right now is because we're largely tied to Ethereum. I deeply apologize. I forget who I was talking to, but they proposed the idea that the more chains that we can bridge to, and the more that we can onboard capital from those chains and actually tie it up in liquidity pools, the further away we're going to get from the scenario where we're Ethereum based. Obviously, the whole chain was a fork of Ethereum. There's a lot of Ethereum that is in those liquidity pools, like I mentioned. But the more that we can tie ourselves to other ecosystems, it's going to have a mitigating effect. Granted, it might also mitigate to the upside slightly, but at the same time, we've shown that PulseChain clearly has the ability to pump independently based on our own factors, the volume that we move, the amount of people coming in, buying, all that kind of stuff. So I think where we're at right now is that the more, we already have tons of projects. We have great projects, like both these guys, absolute studs, making fantastic stuff. The projects are here, the communities are here, everything is working properly. It's just market forces right now are driving the charts, and unfortunately, charts are something that either attract or scare people away. I think right now, crypto overall is in an interesting space in time in the 4-year cycle when it comes to Bitcoin. When it comes to the 4-year cycle, I don't think it's broken at all. Obviously, we're at like what, $109,000 Bitcoin back in January. I think we're currently sitting at like 84,000. We were at 73 like a few weeks ago. And there's a very real possibility that in this next 60-day cycle, for the folks out there that know Bob Lucas cycles and focus on that stuff like I do, there's a very real possibility that we're going to sweep the low of $73,000 Bitcoin again here in the next few weeks, maybe a month and a half-ish. So there is potential downside coming up when it comes to price action. But overall, I think the 4-year cycle is still going to hold. We're still going to have a very large pump come the end of the summer, early fall, maybe even extending into the winter of 2026, as some people believe. But what's going on right now, from what I'm seeing, is that this cycle has largely been based on, it's the ETF cycle. We've seen a massive, massive injection of traditional finance capital into the system, and they're very much focused into what they believe are good, solid risk-on assets, which has primarily just been Bitcoin at this point. So we haven't seen that DeFi cycle that we've seen in past 4-year cycles. Once we see people actually want to start using DeFi and start using those protocols, that's where we're going to see Ethereum fees start going up. It's actually going to get deflationary again. And that's going to be the thing that's really kickstarts the DeFi cycle and all the altcoins running from there. We are tied to that. That's just inherently what we are at this point. We're not Bitcoin. There's only one Bitcoin, and we're not that. I happen to think that we have products that are better than Bitcoin.
There is no second best.
Yeah.
Can we be the first best though? There is no Bitcoin. It can be unique, but can we be the best?
We can absolutely be the best.
Best
like
community.
You just pulled up for the best community by far, as we've seen with a lot of the stuff going around, whether it's been all the support through the Richard Hart SEC stuff, whether it's Rabby stepping on a rake and then just getting absolutely ratioed on some of their posts by some of the larger hexagons.
That'd be a good meme. That'd be a good meme. I haven't seen that. I haven't heard it explained that way before. That's very visual.
Yeah, I think that right now it's just market demands, which is that there's a large chunk of money out there that is not interested in DeFi yet. I think they will be coming up soon. There already are banking institutions that are interested in using alternative chains for actual use cases as opposed to store of money and growth assets. I'm looking at, I want to say it's JP Morgan Chase that actually uses AVAX for a private L2 to move capital around inside of their own internal systems. So they're already exploring that space as it is. And I think that we're already set up and primed, ready to go. we have a chain that works fantastically. It has lower gas fees, faster throughput than Ethereum. It has a lot more, has a lot of projects out there that are very good. And I think that the more people build, it's only going to solidify the base. But as it stands right now, we just need market forces to go. And to go back to the original point, if we can be the centralized hub for a lot of other chains to work with, then that is also going to increase a lot of the fundamentals of the chain through pretty much just utilizing a tool that is built very well. Like I mentioned, faster throughput, lower gas fees. That should be an appeal to drive traffic through us if we can get that going. It's just going to take building inroads, building relationships, and ultimately a degree of capital that's interested in seeing those things happen as well. Sorry, that was a bit of a soapbox, but there you go.
We got to, I mean, market forces need to go burr. Sounds, I mean, that would be very nice to kickstart a lot of stuff. I think we need to get people to start believing in 10,000x again. Like I feel like I've been starting that talk up again. Like I've seen a few people tweet and all that stuff too. But I mean, again, I think everyone's so beaten down in the bear market. They're just hoping for a 10x, a 20x, just hoping enough to just, I don't know, not be mad about their bags or feel poor. And again, totally reasonable. Like I get it. That doesn't help us do a 10,000x though. People believing in baby gains don't help us get mad gains. So like,
agreed. And we're primed for mad gains. If you go look at all the stuff that previously happened when Richard Hart changed the incentive token output or emissions that incentivized people to reduce liquidity on PulseX, reduce the size of the liquidity pools. Because remember, price action happens through liquidity pools, not through market cap. So if you can reduce liquidity, it increases the ability to pump, unfortunately, in either direction, but it should increase the direction upwards. Again, the OA staking was reducing the amount of hex that was being released to the market every day. So that should reduce sell pressure as well. And then this also happened right at the same time that we had the big SEC win coming out. So it's like there's all these things that are priming the system to get going and do those gigapumps. It's just going to take a little more energy and a little more market correlation, unfortunately. But at the same time, we've seen it many times in the past. PulseChain can pump independently. We've seen it pretty much like in March or January, pretty much like every year. It's there. The proof is in the pudding. You've seen it happen before. Why wouldn't it happen again?
Yeah, the liquidity setup is intentional. Like we have low liquidity on chain right now on purpose because that's how Richard wanted it. He changed the ink inflation from 1 per second to 0.03 per second so that people would pull their liquidity from the farms. They're not incentivized to provide liquidity there. And like the result of that is that like, yeah, it can dump faster because there's less liquidity, but he knows that too. Like that's not news to Richard. He did it because he knows that it can pump faster when it's time to pump. So obviously he feels like it's time or getting close to the time to do that setup. Could be to, partly to shake out some weak hands in the meantime, but like long term, like, he wouldn't have changed the ink inflation unless he knew that the time was coming. The same with the hex inflation, like the OA is taking hex, like reducing inflation, shaking out guys who are doing, short-term stakes, rewarding guys who are doing long-term stakes. Like it's all part of a system to prepare us for the pump. We're getting ready for war.
Definitely. Fast Abdoul, you mentioned it. You brought up the numbers there. I know it's very easy to just talk about like, oh, and the ink token emissions rate got cut. No, it got cut by 97%.
Yeah,
that is a lot. It is not a little. That is a massive cut. These are the moves that are being done to prepare for what's coming next.
Yeah, it's really not worth it to participate in the PulseX farms right now. The math is actually bad. Your impermanent loss will be greater than your gains in ink token, right? So I think he has other plans for ink token. Like there's code there. It could be a DAO. It could be lots of things. But and like if it goes back up to, well, I don't know, let's say $2,000, then those farms would start paying out quite well again without him increasing the inflation. I feel like that's something that we could see in this bull market. But like the bottom line is that like, yeah, these are intentional plays to get a measured result as far as user behavior goes. And it worked. It worked exactly as he wanted it to. And that applies to Hex. It applies to Ink. Obviously, things like pumped out tires that are burning Pulse, making Pulse deflationary, like that's huge. Like I wouldn't be surprised if he made a play to reduce the inflation to the validators by starting up a whole bunch, like 45,000 OA controlled validators, cut the validating fees in half. That could be a thing. It would be in line with what he's doing right now.
Yeah, that's the only one where I'm like on the validators, because I know the what they call it, the Genesis validators exited pretty, I think just maybe a few months after the network went online, if I remember. And I don't know, like at that point I was like, okay, I assume they're never going to come back, because again, it's to the community, you know. But again, I didn't call the OA and the ink getting slashed either. So those improbable and not on the radar things happen. So I woke
There's
up.
a decentralization issue there that might prevent him from doing that, right? Like, he probably likes that there's 45,000 validators all over the world and it's impossible to shut down the chain. So maybe he won't touch that, but maybe he will for just 3 months, right? It would make a difference.
I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't happen. If it did, I wouldn't be surprised either. But if it doesn't, because of I think the decentralized angle, well, one is like what. Okay, I guess the question that would answer this or get some more data on is this: what would that? But cutting all the inflation numbers across Pulse, or all the products, all the core products that produce inflation across Pulse, and cutting them. What does it do if he cuts validators versus just having the other two cut? Like, is mission accomplished with just having Hex and Ink cut? What does cutting validator yield do? The
more is more.
That,
it depends on what the validators do with the yield, right? Like, if they're, by and large, if they're hodling it, then okay, it's unnecessary. But if the behavior showed that, okay, validators routinely sell all their gains into stables, then that play potentially makes sense. So it just depends on the numbers, right?
I'd have to look deeper into the numbers on this one. Like exactly what you just said is like, what are the validators doing with their rewards? Because I don't think that the Pulse token itself is something that has a lot of sell pressure to it. I think it's definitely the largest token by supply that's available right now.
I don't think we've reached the point where miners are selling the price down for PulseChain. I've looked at the data.
Agreed.
I don't think that we reached that.
Miners are true believers, obviously, right? Like, if you take the time to run up a validator, to learn the tech, and then to monitor it, like you're probably not just here for the green candles. Like, you probably are actually here for the tech. So.
Yeah, to become a validator, it's no small feat. There's, I think, if you want to have the hardware yourself, shout out to a Validator store. They make good products over there. But I think if you want to actually build your own rig, it's going to cost you around $1,600 just for hardware. That's not even including the Pulse required to insert into the validator, but just to have the hardware, the electricity costs, all that stuff. It's enough of a barrier to entry where I think that the people who are doing it are actually doing it for a longer term play, or for maybe, I guess, ideological reasons of just believing in decentralization and wanting to be part of it. Because it's no small chunk of change.
There are easier ways. Like, we do have 3 liquid staking platforms now. So we have Vouch, Validator X, and Project Pi. So you can basically run a validator without having to be a validator. I think that's really good. That's a great sign of growth for the chain. And I think we'll probably see even more. Like, we also have fractional validators as well through, I want to say it's the DGen protocol guys. So there are reduced barriers to entry, but when it comes to the validators themselves, I think that it's enough of a barrier to entry to make you kind of think larger term than just sell a little chunk of change every month. Oh, totally. I read the documents on being like running your own validator, and I was like, I could probably figure this out, but it's going to be hard.
Did you watch the 79 videos on the RHMax channel? Yeah. You don't need to watch all these videos. Actually, there is. So there is the liquid staking solutions. I think there's the fractionalized ones. Validator store where, again, you can get your own full true DeFi deal, put it in your house or wherever. And then you can run it in the cloud and stuff too. I used to do all kinds of stuff on Validator. That's why there's so many videos and stuff here too. But there are just like literally a 30-minute video, and there's scripts and gamma, and everyone has like different ways of doing it too. But get to pick your option on the Pulse chain. Like, there's no shortage of validator ways to do validating yet, which I think is great for a sign of growth for some of the products that are coming. But also, I don't know, I'm a nerd, so I like to nerd out on the setting up myself type of stuff too. But anyways,
I think there's a fair chance that all of us on the panel are nerds in our own way here tonight.
No, we're not nerds. What? Come on.
No, definitely not.
How dare you?
Before we get to KG on the to get his if he still remembers the question, real quick on this, I think somebody in the chat answered it too. I always ask which the chat to answer these, so we don't taint them. But which stage is a PulseChain at? This is in the spirit of first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then they fight you, then you win. Somebody in chat said laugh. So we're gonna just to look at the poll numbers. I actually don't know how to extrapolate data from this poll. I don't know what I expected it to be either. But what is your all's take on what stage in this context you think we're in, and why for PulseChain? I didn't expect a lot of win here either, although I want us to be in the win column.
We'll get there soon enough. I personally think we're still in the fight phase. I think that there's a lot of stuff going on, whether at the governmental level or whether it's competing with other chains and the founders and all that stuff going on, or the Rabby wallet issue. I think it's fighting stuff out. I think we've gone through the ignore and the laugh, although to be honest, it kind of felt like we were in the fight phase from the very beginning based on just all the Richard Hart stuff and him kind of beefing with the other creators. But it definitely feels like we're in a bit of a fight here.
I also clicked fight. I think we're in the fight stage, and as can be seen from the the interactions with the Rabby team, like picking a fight with Pulsekins and Hexkins is not a winning play. We have the power.
Yeah, power of Yelp.com.
I'd also have to agree that if this isn't the fight, I can't imagine what the fight is.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, yeah.
I know all of us just said that we're in the fight phase right now, but I think if you talk to anybody in the community, nobody wants to be fighting anybody. We want to be winning. Everyone fights enough in their own daily lives with everything else going on. Why do we have to fight here? We want to be around good people with good projects and good money and just good investments all around. So let's win together. There's enough room for everybody.
Yeah, I don't think we've given everyone outside our community a reason to want us to win. I mean, not even talking about the toxic stuff here and there and drama that happens in the community and what you would see on social media from time to time, but just I'm always like, when people are like, oh, why aren't the big influencers talking about us and stuff? What are they going to talk about? What chart are they going to show their people to tell them to buy this thing and how amazing it is? So I think it's just a sign. It's just a result of us not being having a chart that's looking like up and to the right now. It's not our massive onboarding of people, and it's not us being listed on some exchange where a lot of people can come in, and it's not us being, I don't know, we have a ton of volume, I'll say that. We definitely get a lot of stuff from DexGrinder and otherwise, but it's not us getting listed, it's us getting delisted all the time. So
it goes back to the green candles argument.
Yeah.
Right? Like people like to follow winners. As soon as it looks like we're winning, we'll see these big time influencers start jumping on board. Just like when the first announcement came that the SEC case was being dismissed, and you had Charles from Cardano, you had Crypto Rand talking about like, oh, congrats, Richard. Maybe we'll have you on the show, like that kind of thing. Like once the case is finalized, that's going to come back again. Once there's green candles, like Richard's going to be a celebrity in crypto, and he'll be on shows that most influencers can't get on if they want to.
Oprah.
He'll probably be on mainstream news. So I think all this stuff with green candles, it's all going to pull together.
Yeah, I mean it's one of those things like you need. Nobody wants to bet on the dark horse. I think we are the dark horse. We are the community that knows we're going to win. But it's very hard to show it because you got to have so much built up, compounded knowledge of like, oh yeah, this is so obvious. Everyone else on the outside is just like looking for the next thing to flip and gamble and get in and out type of deal. This is not your average crypto. So I think that's hard for people to see when they don't see green candles. Once they see green candles, they'll read, they'll watch all the videos, they'll be in the chat. We'll have thousands of people watching streams at that point. But until we have something for them to talk about, I don't expect anyone to talk about us or say nice things about us or not try to fight with us or to list us anywhere until we get some momentum in the right direction. And yeah, I think we're all trying our best to make that happen as quick as possible. KG, on to you, man. PulseChain.com. What do you think? What are we doing? What's next for the PulseChain?
You know, I kind of agree with what Fast Abdoul just said there about how when Richard beats the government, you know, if that occurs, and I believe it will, then people now don't have the legal ramifications that maybe their legal teams are advising them, don't engage over there, you know? So then that could be uplifted because it's the American government he has to beat and the Interpol government. We got to remember that. So if he's able to beat those two entities, which I do believe is possible, then okay, now the legal ramifications are out of the picture. Now it's just social. But what the influencers care about more than anything is likes and retweets and views. So they'll definitely get those with Richard Hart being on the channel. You just beat the government. Come to our channel and tell us all about it, right? So I agree there. And then as time goes on and more people start to say positive things and we take away reasons for them to say no to the system, right? Our founder isn't potentially in trouble. Then it becomes less stigmatized to talk about it. And then after that, then we become a regular crypto ecosystem. Maybe we see Richard Hart come back. We see better ways to get in and out of PulseChain open up. The bridge is okay, but it's not great. And look, it seems to be secure. No one's getting hacked, but it's slow. Sometimes it gets clogged for an indeterminate amount of times. There's a lot of weird barriers to entry. There's legal, social, and actual technical barriers to entry. And we're starting to work towards a reality where all three of those things are getting removed. So I think that if PulseChain does what we think it can do, we're in obviously still early, even though it's been all these years, because it's hard to get onto, hard to interact with, tons of legal scrutiny, tons of social scrutiny. If this isn't the bottom, the only thing worse maybe is, I don't know, Richard gets assassinated or something. Which I'm not saying I hope happens. Please, nobody spin that and say KG wants that. No, and not in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying, like, if he lost the legal case, he died, or he went completely MIA. That may be the only things that could make it more bearish. But
I'm going to speculate he probably has a execution will. Shit, I said execution. Now you got me thinking. He has a plan post this. He has a plan in case anything bad happened as well. So even if that happened, I'm pretty sure. But those are the case scenarios. What if he comes back, he live streams, and he's just like, he does like a Roaring Kitty deal when he just like, comes back, he's super out of shape, he's on drugs or something. That would be pretty bad because you're like, no, founder return after 3 years, and now he looks like crap. And
I imagine the way that I think everyone's expecting is he's gonna come back ripped to a T. I feel like
he's gonna be shredded.
I want him to be, but I don't think he's going to be
the shredded Doge dog.
I mean, he's going to put in some work for that. He's not as he said, he's not a spring chicken anymore either. So he's got to probably put in some extra reps.
He's not that old. It's still possible.
Bro, it's possible, but it's not easy as it used to be, I would say.
He was deadlifting before he went MIA. I can't deadlift that much. He's got some years on me.
I just need a black Hex t-shirt. That's what I want to see him come back in.
Amen. Amen.
If I can still do jiu-jitsu, Richard can still lift weights. I'm not sympathetic.
Yeah. He could bench any of us here, I'm pretty sure. You can see it. I was going to say, KG, you said something that I thought was, damn it, I forgot what it was. Around, the bridge. So, yeah, as you can see, there's people in the chat too. Sorry, chat, I said I was going to talk to you, but I don't have a lot of time right now. But thank you for the pieces in there. Some of the pieces were around the bridge and how it's been slow and clogged and stuff from time to time now for apparently technical reasons and stuff too. But I've heard people complain in general about, again, we sacked all this money and okay, we only got the MVP or the minimum product. We only got there's nothing else out there. Where's all the features? Where's all the, the best decks and we think it's the best decks, but it doesn't have all these things that we think it should have or otherwise. I really think, and I feel like I've said this before in the last couple of years too. I don't think it doesn't make any sense to me if there were a plan to make sure when, for example, right macro conditions, when right legal conditions, when community is going to spot, crypto is going to get shape, whatever it is, and things kick off. If that's something that you're thinking could happen in there, if there is a plan behind the dev team or founder or whatever, you shouldn't expect. But if there is something there, why in the world would you release all the good features and all that momentum and all that stuff to go in the ether and just float away and not help you get chart go up? Like literally, the Gotta Pump It Up song can manifest itself with a ton of really cool features over time that maybe on, there's test nets. The devs got test nets. Everything internal is a test net, right? They probably have a ton of stuff. They got 50 different features of PulseX and stuff with, wallet or stuff with upgrades for PulseChain. We haven't seen Ethereum upgrades. We haven't seen PulseChain take any Ethereum upgrades. Correct me if I'm wrong. There's all these things that haven't happened. And if you believe they're never going to happen, I think that's a less plausible story than them happening when the time is ready for it to make the maximum, for example, price increase on the chart, maximum buzz, maximum amount of onboarding, maximum things that we can talk about on stream. Like, why wouldn't that? That is unreasonable. That wouldn't be the case versus it's just never going to happen. And they're just sitting on their hands for the last, year or two. So.
And Max, I'd like to piggyback on what you said and take this opportunity to potentially make our lives better regarding the PulseChain bridge. There is a feature that can be activated on the bridge that allows people who are using the bridge to pay a fee, right? Because the main reason the bridge gets stuck is because the gas gets too high for the bridge validators to sign the transactions. And so then it creates a backlog. The bridge gets backed up. It waits for gas to come down. And then the bridge validators, which are different than the chain validators, start signing transactions again. Okay, there's a feature where a fee can be turned on that the users can pay the bridge validators to sign their transactions, and we would alleviate our stuck bridge problem.
Oh.
So we've seen examples. So right now, the Gnosis chain, if you're familiar with them, the Gnosis Safe, they have their own chain. They use this same exact bridge. This is the same bridge that they have for Gnosis. They have that feature enabled. They never experience bridge problems. So this isn't to say anything negative about the bridge. This is to say that if we start this community initiative asking for the fee to be turned on, maybe we'll see it happen. I personally would rather pay a small fee to get my bridge over than I would wait for insert time here. And I think that not only for me, I think every user, if it was, look, you could also say, hey, pay no fee and process it when you process it. That's fine. But why not have the option for the users to pay for that, instant bridge?
Well, it sounds like even the fee would be like a priority fee. Like when you're making transactions, right? It's like you get in the list of, okay, this is going to go through. Like it could be something like that too, where it is kind of like a hierarchy of, if you pay for it, you're more likely to get it through on time. And if you don't, then you're just, you're just in the free zone too. But I get what you're saying. It is that trade-off of, I don't know. I think maybe the marketing, maybe they're just optimizing towards marketing of, oh, bridge is free versus, and then hoping that, there's enough, they have enough to get a transaction through on time. Or maybe it just doesn't matter. Again, maybe you're going back to what I was saying. Maybe like right now, there's don't care. Nobody's gonna remember this. Like only people are gonna remember all the shitty things that have happened from time to time for the past couple of years are the people who are already here. We're trying to onboard the next group of people. They're not gonna know any of this stuff. They're gonna be like, oh yeah, PulseChain, yeah, I want to trade the coins. So maybe it's just like an optimization towards the new people when ready. And right now, it's just like nothing working. I don't know, nothing being the shiniest object, or how do you say? Nothing, I don't want to say nothing working well, because things do work well generally. The bridge, again, has its things from time to time. But nothing is supposed to be in the best shape possible until we're ready for that big bull run. And maybe that's just super deprioritized. But
well, and I want to make a clarification that the bridge, you don't have to turn up like this bridge fee you see on the screen. It's not that fee. That's physically the bridge validators are getting paid. That's totally different. There's a fee that can pay their gas to sign the transaction and alleviate the reason why our bridges get stuck. That's really all it is. So
Yeah.
Why that wouldn't be a shiny object feature, again, if we as the community talk about it, maybe we'll see that fee turned on and it'll make all of our lives better.
Interesting. Yeah.
Let's get some Twitter posts on that to share out. I think that, it'd be interesting to see the community consensus on that. Like if people are pushing for it, if they say they're willing to pay, I could see that, that getting pushed forward. Though, like, code is always harder than it sounds, right? It may be more than just flicking a switch, and security is paramount with bridges, obviously.
Yeah, it's more than just flicking a switch. That is, yes, of course. And I did put a poll out on this, Max. I'll look for it while we're on the stream. And it was overwhelmingly positive that, if I remember correctly, that everybody was like, yeah, turn a fee on if it means that my bridge goes through. But again, optional.
I was just asking GPT just to understand a little bit better on the technical side too. So when bridge validator submits a transaction, someone has to pay the gas. Gas is paid by the bridge validator account, who then submits the transaction to incentivize validators on the bridge can configure to charge a fee on bridged assets. Fee is subtracted user amount. So that's that part. But where's the? I said compare with the signing fee. What are different?
Yeah, they have docs. The Omni Bridge has docs that go deep into all of this.
Yeah, I'm hoping the AI has read the docs and can quickly tell me too. I'm hoping. So bridge fee, percentage based taken from bridge. Okay, that's the user facing fee. The execution fee, gas fees validators must pay when they submit transactions on either side of the bridge. Gas reimbursement, is that the technical validators pay gas, but direct subsidy, maybe it's that one. And there's arbitrary message bridge fee under the hood, just transmit messages, maybe additional validator signature required, higher gas costs.
Yeah, that's for, I believe that one's for, like texting basically, or, some kind of like signature, not wrapping and unwrapping tokens.
So maybe this one, is that the fee? Maybe the execution fee?
Like, what would a whale moving $1 million on chain be willing to pay for that to be instant? I'm guessing that they wouldn't balk at paying $1 million pulse, to make that happen. They'd probably be okay with it. Or I guess it'd be ETH on that side, like, $1,000 in ETH to move $1 million at the moment when you want to move it. Like, I don't see why not.
All right, maybe $5, $10. We're not talking. We're not even necessarily talking a percentage.
Yeah.
Of the transaction. It's just, hey, don't let the validators have to pay that gas. So yeah, you could see here, we're talking 80% of the people said, yeah, turn it on. So I have
it's the first time I've heard of this. I'm curious on the technical side to dig into it a little bit too. But yeah,
I have no guarantees that we could get it turned on, but hey, look, we've seen other things come out of community demand. And maybe this is a fight that, or not a fight, maybe this is an initiative that the community doesn't care about that much. But if you do care about it, there is a solution.
I'm interested to see how the conversation goes on this too. Yeah, I think one of the things we can do is, voice our, how many times is I want to get the stats on how many times Bretep gets pinged by people of like, fix thing, dev, or comment on this thing happening in community. I feel bad for him sometimes. I appreciate. Stay strong, Bretep. Stay strong. Maybe one day they'll learn your name is Brett and start calling you Brett. But until then, we're calling you Bretep because that's what it says.
Oh, it's basically gamer handles.
Yeah, I know. Everyone's just like, it's like I hear some people try to pronounce it and they say Bretep, and it's like they think that that's the name. Like they're like, and so they're trying to pronounce it correctly, and it's like this whole friction piece. But I'm pretty sure Brett's the name. Anyways, gents, what a banger stream. Streamer says over 1,000 watching. Fast Abdoul tends to have good ideas about the restreaming deal as well. So shout out to you. KG dropped on talking about internet money, and Zenith is wearing one of my favorite t-shirts in the world, hex.com, baby.
Nice.
What do you guys want?
That's right. We're not trying to be a thousandaire.
Not trying to be a thousandaire. No broke plebs allowed. There's a cancel sign T-shirt for that one too. Fast, you go first. What do you want to take us out on? And where can people find more about you and your bribes?
I can be found on Twitter under @FastAbdoul, as displayed on the screen here. My websites, that's 2phux.io and inkprinter.com. That's incprinter.com. I have big developments coming for both those projects. The bribery protocol, where you can make and take bribes on the Pulse chain for votes in various DAO ecosystems like the PHUX and 2PHUX ecosystems, is coming soon. Possible additions of other ecosystems in the future. And the ink printer is receiving a major upgrade to make the print token deflationary. More news on that later. Thanks for having me, Max.
Of course. KG, internetmoney.io.
Yes, sir. So you brought up the stats with the wallet, and there's a lot to talk about. We're building a lot. We've just launched a lot of new good features. We now support over 80 different currencies in the wallet, where you can view your portfolio. You can view the price of all assets on all the chains we natively support in the wallet, of course, PulseChain. So not only can you view the price of all PulseChain assets, you can view it in 80 different currencies. We have our now fiat on-ramp feature that you can on-ramp into 20 plus different blockchains from all over the world. We do have a direct on-ramp to Pulse with your fiat money in some parts of the world. We have a cross-chain swap feature where you can swap in and out of 25 different networks, PulseChain included. It can be a bridge for smaller amounts. And one of the biggest kickbacks that we've been getting recently is about how our wallet connects to dApps, which it does connect to dApps, and it's great once you learn it. But there's just certain instances where users are having a difficulty with the learning curve, or there's certain dApps that don't support it. So by user demand, we're implementing right now as we speak a new way to connect to dApps. And it'll be like everybody's used to with other wallets. We'll have an in-app browser as well for those who have requested that. And as a general rule of thumb, to you, Max, you, Zenith, you, Abdoul, your communities, whatever it is, anybody listening that you guys are looking for from the Internet Money Wallet, when we have community demand, it pushes those things up the priority list. So if there's any features you want to see, let us know. And that connection one was a big community demand. InternetMoney.io. We're available on Android, iOS, and Chrome. Open source. We collect no data.
Yes. Dr. Zenith, DI.
Doctor, I'm not a doctor, but we do have some of those in our community.
You keep saying
Folks,
that.
you can find me on Instagram and Twitter @ZenithDI, like the handle right there says. Other than that, I'm streaming on DGen Roundtable Sunday, Wednesdays, Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern time. No book club this week, just a heads up. Outside of that, though, folks, I would really appreciate it if you head over to Walk the Block NDF on Twitter. That is a new show that some of us over at the DGen Roundtable are launching, trying to keep it a tight 1 hour show that is simplistic enough for Fast Abdoul's grandma to understand, but also deep enough that Fast Abdoul will tune in himself. That is the game plan over there, trying to get that as an onboarding tool, kind of a more professional service. We do try to watch the swearing over there, just so we can try to keep it as friendly as possible. So please give us some love. We'd really appreciate it. And then tune in, ask us any questions you want. We got myself, Jay, Tracker, and Dace. We got a lot of folks that do charts. I do legal and government. Tracker and Dace are also great with on-chain data as well. So we try to keep as much good content as we can coming out every week. That's Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern time over on YouTube. Max, always a pleasure. Thanks for having us, man. I'm very excited for the Quattro Cinco conference coming up. It's going to be
Pulse
a good time.
Conference 2055.
Yeah, I got to brush up on my my Scivive so I can. I think there was interest in debating at some point. So I know people are going to give me crap for saying that it's not the best book in the world. I think they're great concepts and principles, but at the same time, like there are things that can be improved.
I got some constructive criticism too. I think the risk diode. I think it would be interesting to talk about because that's.
Oh yeah, risk diode is fantastic.
Ooh, I may have a
I
debate.
gotta say, Max, I'm gonna be like 73 or something in 2055. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to make that.
No. If there happens to be, say, a common question I got from this is, well, what happens for the conference in 2055? And I said, that's a good problem to have. We're gonna figure it out. We got 30 years to figure it out. So we'll be all right. Well, I think we'll all be actually, I was gonna say all old men at that point. However, if we solve longevity research, if we mint millions of millionaires and they tend to want to be pro-life, let's see, anti-death. Hold on, how do you say this now?
Live long time.
You're getting very political here, Max. I'm not sure if we want to tackle that one at the conference. You know, like I know it's an issue, but I don't want the pro-life.
There will not be a pro-life panel. I don't think we're gonna do a pro-life panel. It's going to be called longevity panel, but it's going to be a different pro-life. There's always some words that get me on that. Anyways, good problem to have. If we have them, we all be young, drink from the fountain of youth. Richard will have become one of the greatest men in the world. He would have funded it. Aubrey Gray will hopefully still be around, kicking ass, and all of our community projects will have went to the moon, bypassed the moon, went to Mars, say hi to Pluto, gave a high five, went out astronomical outside the universe, and all the builders will be heavily rewarded in the community. That'd be a cool future in 2055. Like, think about that. Think about that. The futuristic theme. What will be happening in 2055? What is the best case scenario for the PulseChain community? That'll be a theme for the conference too. Appreciate, again, Past Abdoul building, KG building, Zenith doing stuff, not trying to be a thousandaire, maybe building at some point. I don't know. You're building a curriculum. We'll say that.
I am interested in potentially building stuff. I'm kind of interested in trying to get into the GameFi space myself, but I'm someone who only knows how to code in HTML, which is effectively a dead language, and KG can make fun of me for that one. But
come to the AI panel. You'll be a coder.
Starting point.
True.
You got the logical brain, man.
You don't need to build anything to do great things either. Builders can do great things. Non-builders can do great things too.
True. I appreciate it. If someone out there knows, has an answer for this question for me, please let me know. I've done a little bit of coding in Game Maker, but I want to try to make a game ultimately that has multiplayer features in it. And I understand that Game Maker is not great for that feature. So if you know a good engine to learn how to code on, please send it my way and I will start working on that one.
All right. If anyone knows that, shoot Zenith a Telegram or an X or any of those good stuff. Gents, appreciate you joining me. Great show today. Friday show. I love Friday show. Friday shows. I'm always really tired at the end of the week too. And I'm always like, oh God, I always book these streams. And I get into it and I'm like, I'm really energized. I really like this conversation. Had some great guests on today. You guys did not F up at all. So good job on that. Keep it up. Keep it up. All right, everyone. That's all we got for you today. Scivive and 5555. We are out.